of the Partnership for Ontario County. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand announced this week that she is co-sponsoring New Jersey's Senator Cory Booker's bill to end the federal prohibition on marijuana. The Marijuana Justice Act, which was introduced last year, looks to remove marijuana from the list of controlled substances, making it legal at the federal level. Do you support the legalization of marijuana?
I do not, and Shel Farley is going to take care of Christian this election. Kirsten Gillibrand. You know, it just boggles my mind. We talk about what's going on in this country and the illogical nature of some people. We have an opioid crisis. Why would we want to make more mind-altering substances available to people? Now, I know that may not be popular with a lot of people, and it probably isn't, but it's counterproductive. Also, you really ought to look at some of the experiences of the state of Colorado that actually legalized marijuana. The number of car accidents, the number of behaviors that happen as a result of the ingestion of whatever the substance may be. People say it's not any worse than alcohol. Maybe it's not. And why do we need another brand to come out to cause more additional problems? My son tells me I should be in favor of it because the young people, the millennials are in favor, but that's simply the way I feel. And I can tell you, unlike Bill Clinton, and this is the truth, I have never, ever tried marijuana, ever. I was representing a young guy, and he was going to be sentenced for various things. It was a minor offense. He was to be sentenced in the judge's chambers. He ended up getting 15 days or something. He whispers to me, I got to talk to you, got to talk to you. So I go out, talk to him. He says, I have marijuana on me. So I said, what the hell do you want me to do? So we go back into the judge's chambers for sentencing. He puts it in my briefcase. I went home, I went to my office, flushed it down the toilet. I thought I was going to be followed by the FBI. So, but that's my feeling. I know the argument's on the other side, but that's what I think.
Joe? Well, this is one area where I may differ from my colleagues on this particular subject. As I mentioned earlier, I've overcome a lot of challenges in my life, and one of them was cancer. In 1999, I had throat cancer. And I realized the benefits of medical marijuana back at that time. And I think it's now pretty obvious and evident that marijuana is a very effective medicine for a lot of people with a lot of different ailments. And I'm one of those people who believes that the prohibition of marijuana has been failed public policy. Massachusetts is about to engage in a adult use program. New Jersey, the same this year, and Canada. So it's all around us. But that's not the reason why we should do it. The reason we should do it is because we're putting a lot of resources and effort into this failed public policy, believing that prohibition is effective. Prohibition hasn't worked forever, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that even the earliest signs of prohibition, dating back even before the attempts to prohibition with alcohol, was there are 3 people involved. It was Adam, Eve, and God. And we know that that attempt at prohibition didn't work. And it's a failed public policy that has to stop. I am going to be releasing a plan very shortly that will be the toughest, strictest adult use marijuana program in the country. And we're going to use the revenues from that criminal underground activity, and we're going to monetize them. And the plan that we're going to propose will create about 100,000 new jobs over a 7-year period through our plan to end prohibition of marijuana. It's something that has to take place, I believe. It's something that's necessary, and we cannot continue to allow the underground criminal market to perpetuate. It's time to stop that failed policy, and we have to pay, to use the dollars to fix our roads and bridges and create thousands and thousands of new jobs, not the fake jobs that Andrew Cuomo has tried to put forth in this failed corporate welfare policy.
I am against the legalization of marijuana because it is not a policy that is going to help people at the grassroots. I am most concerned with public policy as it affects people in our working classes and our lower classes, and we do have evidence right now of great struggles there with the opioid crisis and other crises, and this is another big government liberal philosophy approach to solving these problems. Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Andrew Cuomo are all, subject to, okay, let's look at how we can, take a big government approach and address things. And the war on poverty, a 50-year-old attempt to address these problems has failed. Trillions of dollars of government spending and the poverty rate hasn't moved. It's just an example of the big government liberal philosophy that has failed. And this is another example of that approach. We need a grassroots approach. We need to empower neighborhood organizations, faith-based groups, and others in the community to address problems, and instead of legalizing things that are only going to make problems worse.
Can I just say one thing about the opioid crisis, if I might? There's a lot of evidence, folks, coming out that the most effective way to get a person who is addicted to heroin and other opioids is cannabis, it's marijuana. And the studies are pretty clear. And the problems that were talked about earlier in Colorado never happened. So I think the record is pretty clear that this has been a failed public policy. And if you're really serious about ending the heroin opiate epidemic, we need to look at how cannabis can be a very effective means of getting people off this very dangerous, life-threatening drug.
We already have medical marijuana, so there's no reason to legalize everything if there's some benefit to marijuana. Secondly, don't have to worry about Gillibrand's bill being passed. She hasn't passed a bill yet.
Thank you. Bob Green, you're up. Okay, so Bob Green is our Deputy Chairman of the Ontario County Board of Supervisors. He has two questions he's going to be asking, but why don't you come on up here? While you're doing that, I understand that our Chairman of the Board of Supervisors has some words of advice for you. Is he still here? Yes, he is. Okay.
Thank you for throwing your hat in the ring for this position. Certainly, I know the sacrifices as a elected official to be out of your house, and certainly we appreciate that, because certainly the residents of this great state need certainly the opportunity to choose another candidate for governor. One of you three certainly will come to the forefront and be our governor candidate. I recently had the opportunity, I serve on the NISAC board. Recently we convened 57 counties and 750 members of county government convened in Albany. And there's a consistent message between all parties and all members, and it was mandate relief. And again, you may feel that's a dead horse. We've beaten that up. I can tell you, first of all, Medicaid relief, we certainly haven't seen that. And I certainly asked the question, and I'm not asking any questions. My point is, I think we are one of two states in this great country that instead of the state taking on Medicaid, it's passed down to the local level. And that's certainly, when you talk about, how can we reduce property tax, let the state take that over. And I know that's a big, significant dollar amount, no question about that. The second item is pension reform. Clearly, pension reform, adding tiers 4, 5, and 6, certainly long overdue. But when you talk about relief today, there is no relief today. So someone, a new hire, is a tier 5 or a tier 6, they're not retiring tomorrow, they're retiring 20 years from now. So yes, much needed, but the savings to the local level isn't going to take place until 20, 25 years from now. Shared services, okay? I can tell you, when you want to make some headway with local officials as you travel the state, thank them for what they've done for decades as far as shared services. Because this governor has not. He's disrespected all local officials. Here in Ontario County, when the governor came out with his executive budget last year, I asked our county administrator, meet with staff. Take a look at what we've done here in Ontario County. They went back 3 decades. They came up with 3.5 pages of shared services that we've implemented here within this county. Total dollar amount, $2.50. So our county tax rate would be $2.50 higher if we had not done that over the course of that 30 years. The reason I bring that up, because this governor, it's all about him. This was his idea. We've never done that. So he's disrespected all these local officials in all these counties in this great state. So you want to make some headway with local government? Thank them for what they've done year after year after year. Not some governor telling them what to do. Thank you very much again for running.
And,
Can we comment? Because those are important issues.
okay, yes. Okay, yes, the answer is yes. Why don't you start,
Just
Senator?
very briefly, where'd you go? Oh, there you go. First of all, I got the award for the Legislator of the Year by NISAC this past year because of the indigent legal services bill that I pushed to try to take some of the burden off the localities to have to pay for indigent legal services when it's a state responsibility. My bill would have taken over all the legal services. Cuomo wouldn't sign one, he vetoed it until it was cut back for new legal services. You're absolutely right on each one of these issues. And as far as shared services are concerned, he treated everybody like their children. That's the way he's Papa Cuomo. He's the person who tells you what the weather reports are every day. He's got to take care of his children. And that was embarrassing what he did, and it's not going to happen starting January 1.
I compliment you for that. So 2 years ago, I had the good fortune of going to the executive mansion as a member of the NISAC board. So 2 years ago, I should say in the last 5 years, it's been a setting just like we had before this meeting convened. Standing around, mingling, governor, the lieutenant governor introduces the governor, have the taste of New York, things like that. Last year, table setting, white tablecloth, it was like Dad at Sunday dinner scolding his children for all the things that we do wrong at the local level. This year, oh, it's an election year. So what transpired? We have to continue to work together. We're doing an outstanding job. We wanted to vomit.
Just a quick comment on that. I want to thank you for bringing some emphasis to Cuomo's character problem, and we all hear about it in ethics, but it's really about how do you work together with local officials. In New York City, we have a major problem, I'm sure you all heard about it, with mass transit. You know, it's just falling apart, and Cuomo cannot get along with Mayor de Blasio so that they can work together. Instead, they're always fussing and fighting, and the problem is the governor of New York State needs to take the high road. You know, he needs to be the one to say, okay, you know, we may not like each other, but we have to put those personal differences aside in order to work together. And your comment really highlights that the character problem here with this governor is just makes it impossible to work with it, and that's what needs to change. And you know, I have to, you know, commend my colleagues up here on the board. I think we bring the kind of character change that will bring a difference to the leadership of the state.